How's it going, everyone? Welcome to some more ARK news, and today, before we get started, I just want to say that the thoughts and opinions in this video are mine and mine alone. So yeah, these are just my personal thoughts on the top 10 finalists for the center. They're really interesting, and I honestly think that they all have good potential on the map. I think some have greater potential than others, but hey, again, this is my opinion, just my personal opinion. Feel free to disagree with me if you want, that's fine, as long as we do so civilly in the comments. You know, if you say, well, I disagree with you because of reasons A, B, and C, that's totally fine. That's understandable. You're welcome to do so. But when you start cussing me out and saying stuff like you don't know what the crap you're talking about, yeah, that's not a civil discussion. So that's just my little disclaimer. We all have our different opinions. That is 100% okay. You are entitled to your opinion. However, you are not entitled to a disrespectful response to my opinions or to other people's opinions. Just want to get that clarified out there, because we've had some spats in past videos like this, and I didn't really like seeing those. So trying to avoid that here. But anyway, let's get into it. The top 10 finalists for the center in ASA, starting with the Shastasaurus. And this one I think is a really cool idea. It has essentially just a submarine. I mean, this thing, number one, it's big, which is really cool. So it's another big sea creature. And for those of you who don't know, the center has a lot of water. If you've never played the center before, there's a lot of water. So a water creature is definitely going to be a perk. And it's very big. You can see there's just that little itty bitty survivor right at the tip of its nose. And yeah, it has that submarine. It looks like you can build inside of it. There's a theory, there's a pteranodon. That's really cool concept art. I really like the idea. Obviously, if this wins, it's probably going to be something that is either A, going to be incredibly difficult to tame, which I hope it's not for single player, because that's what I play. I play single player. I prefer things that, you know, if it has a challenge to it, that's okay. But if it's incredibly difficult, and by incredibly difficult I mean Miracinonyx difficult, that's when we start having some problems. But if it's, you know, Bajadasaurus difficult, if it's Giga difficult, Nothosaurus difficult, yeah, totally fine. And I can honestly see this winning, or at least making it into the top 3, because I like the concept art, I like the idea of a submarine, and yeah, so it's probably, but like I was saying with the taming, it's either going to be difficult to tame, or it's going to be super rare, or you may have to, in order to get that saddle, you may have to beat the Guardians of the Center, which is the Broodmother and the Megapithecus in the same arena. The arena is pretty big, so you can draw them away from each other. It is possible to fight one before the other, but yeah, just saying. If you've never played the center before and you go into that arena, just guns a-blazing, you can get caught off guard. Not often, but if you're brand new to ARK and you go in that arena, you're probably going to get caught off guard. But yeah, that's what I have to say about the Shastasaurus. Now the Hermit Crab. This is so interesting. This is so interesting. Such an interesting idea. I mean, a hermit crab in ARK. I never imagined seeing a hermit crab in ARK. I imagine the closest we would get were the Eurypterids, the sea scorpions. But a hermit crab seems to be pretty dang cool. And the fact that you have different types of shells that you can craft up. You have a biotoxin, a metal, an obsidian, and a crystal. Yeah, that it's like all the evolutions of Eevee if you've been into Pokemon. You know, that's pretty dang cool. Yeah, yeah, I like it. I like the looks of this. The design is pretty cool. It's big. Yeah, they can, let's see here. Let me see here. They look scary, but they're actually very friendly. You can find them around the beach or in less populated areas of the ocean. Most of the time you'll find it in groups, trading their shells for a bigger one between each other. That's kind of cool. It's an omnivore, and it's going to be docile, so that's kind of interesting too. So I assume it'll be like a Doedicurus, it'll only attack you if you smack it. Yeah, you must make use of their favorite object, their shell's survivor can scare these big creatures by hitting their shell, making them hide inside. Okay, so just like a curled up Doedicurus. And use that chance to hit their shell with metal tool until it's in bad condition. It'll become worried about its shell and will try to repair it. That's your chance. Give the crab the resources it's asking for, and it'll be grateful for life. Just don't tell them the truth. Oh man, that's actually kind of a cool taming method. That's really cool. Okay, because you don't know what it could be asking for. So it could ask for stone, metal, obsidian, biotoxin, or crystal. Okay, that's interesting. That's really interesting. And it's another aquatic creature, so I can imagine it making it up there pretty dang high. Now the killer whale. This, I honestly have mixed feelings about this, and let me explain that. It's really cool. I love the design. I love that they want to put a killer whale here. But we already have a whale, a Basilosaurus. Believe it or not, Basilosaurus, not a dinosaur, it's a whale. You don't believe me? Go watch Walking with Prehistoric Beasts. Yeah, go the second episode of Walking with Beasts. Go watch. Yeah, go check that out. It's all about Basilosaurus. Even though that program is very, very outdated. Still, Basilosaurus, it's a mammal. Yeah, the pros, I think it would be cool because it's pretty close to the Leviathan they're going for. A lot of people want to see a Leviathan added. Plus, it's aquatic, so that's something it has going for it. It's, you know, a hunter. It looks like something that would be really tanky. But the cons, number one, it looks like an extinct species of whale. But it's still called the killer whale. So I wouldn't imagine it winning just because killer whales are still around. That and the fact that we already do have a Moby Dick-like creature in the game, the Leadsichthys. Even though the Leadsichthys is a fish, not a mammal. Yeah, excuse me. Okay, I was gonna sneeze. I don't see. I can see this making it into the top 5, but I wouldn't see it actually winning just because it has so many similarities to the modern day killer whale. But what it does have going for it is the fact that it is a water creature, and water creatures are taking the lead in the center just because there is so much water in the center. I can see this probably succeeding on maybe Genesis Part 1, but probably not the center. I mean, maybe not. I don't know. It does have a really good chance, though, being a aquatic creature, though. I will say that. But yeah, it is a really interesting idea. But yeah, I think the fact that it just bears so many similarities to the killer whales we have today, I don't see it making it too far. That's just me. That's just my personal opinion. Now, the giant lobster. This is going to be interesting. It looks similar to a Eurypterid. Obviously, it's not, because lobsters and sea scorpions are not the exact same thing, even though they're both invertebrates. Still, yeah. You can see it grabbing someone. You can see it grabbing a shark. You can see it scaling up cliffs. It can bury itself in the sand with their antennas sticking out of the ground. Survivors must not approach a buried lobster unless they plan to tame one. Okay, so that's kind of like the Facilosuchus on Scorched Earth that won the Scorched Earth vote. Okay, where it just buries itself. That's interesting. Yeah. Megalodon sized. It's a combat creature. Acts as an underwater daedon, able to heal allies both land and water. Latch itself onto an ally creature, healing it much faster while also making ally invulnerable to damage. Okay, incredible mobility, being able to walk to the ocean floor, swim, and even climb surfaces with the help of its claws. Okay, so that's it climbing sheer cliffs, kind of like a Thyla and a Megalania. Okay, that's interesting. That is an interesting proposal. Okay, so yeah, giant lobster. Again, marine creature, obviously, probably why it made it into the top 10. Now, the Nothosaurus, this one has a new proposed feature, and it looks very different from the previous concept art of the Nothosaurus. It was proposed for Ragnarok. A lot of people were upset that it did not win Ragnarok. But now that it has a chance on the center, the new Nothosaurus 2.0, I really like this design. And if it wins, I'd really like it to keep a design similar to that. It looks more like a deep sea creature here. It keeps roughly the same size. Nothosaurus in real life was not that big. But then again, ARK, the Rhinognatha was the size of your thumbnail. And look at it now, it's big enough to pick up a Spino. Yeah. So, anyway, Nothosaurus, it might be scaled up. But it looks like a deep sea creature, and hopefully, if it does win, it has some really, really good uses. Again, you gotta remember, not all the uses are kept, but maybe, possibly, the Nothosaurus could help assist in getting the artifact of the brute at the very bottom of the ocean, because the artifact of the brute, when you get to the coordinates where that stupid artifact is at, it's either not spawned in or you're at the wrong spot, and you're like, where's the artifact? I'm in the wrong spot. And you go chasing your tail, and the next thing you know it spawns in. You're like, are you serious? I just circled this whole ocean floor for like 20 minutes just for it to not have been spawned in. Yeah. So maybe, hopefully this thing is fast. I mean, and when I say fast, I mean Plessy fast. Maybe even faster than that. Who knows? That would be really, really useful. If it's like a lightning bolt under the water, that I can see the Nothosaurus. Plus, Nothosaurus could also get up on land. So the fossil evidence shows that it could be a land creature too. Obviously, it would not be at home on land. You know, it would be very vulnerable, you know, but in water it would probably have a better chance. So yeah. So yeah, Nothosaurus, I think it has a much better chance of winning on this map. Okay. Now the flying fish, this one cracked me up because I love the artwork. I love the artwork, and when I said cracked me up, the artwork is what cracked me up, okay? Not the idea of like, oh my gosh, are you serious, a flying fish? No, the artwork, because this is just too funny. I love this artwork. But yeah, this is an interesting entry. The fact that you have something that looks like it could be kind of like a manta, but at the same time, maybe, well, number one, it's obviously bigger than a manta, and number two, it could possibly be faster than a manta. Maybe if it accidentally lands on land, it can survive a little bit longer than a manta would. You know, this obviously looks like it would be super fast, just like the Nothosaurus. But yeah, that is an interesting idea. And again, with the center being having so much water, I can definitely see this making it to the top. But yeah, that's a really interesting concept, especially if you can use weapons while riding it. That would be really, really cool. So yeah, I mean, the flying fish are kooky enough as it is. Prehistoric flying fish that are big enough for you to ride on, that's pretty cool. Okay, now we have the Saivodus, the basking shark that has teeth. This thing, ARK has, in my opinion, this is my opinion, some people may agree, some people may disagree, but let me say this. ARK has too many Megalodon. Way too many Megalodon. So if this thing wins and it shares spawn spots with Megalodon, it doesn't have its own spawn spots. No, if it shares spawns with Megalodon and it is equally as common as Megalodon, then I want to see something other than Megalodon. Megalodon are just frustrating, in my opinion. I don't like the Megalodon. I know a lot of people like sharks, and I'm just like, no, I don't like the Megalodon. But this is a new shark. It could be better than the Meg. Could be a lot better than the Megalodon. And I think that it has potential. I think that the concept art is really interesting. It looks to be about the same size as Megalodon. Yeah, if this one wins, number one, it's a water creature, so of course it has a really good chance of winning. And number two, please, I want to see fewer Megalodon. I want this to spawn as often as Megalodon do. I am sick of Megalodon. Okay, the only Megalodon I want to see are the alphas that I need to kill for the trophies. That's it. I mean, I know Alpha Megalodon hit like tanks and I know they are a pain in the butt, but so are regular Megalodon. And the fact that they just keep following you and following you and following you, and they just never give up. They are so annoying. So if this thing, hopefully this thing will not be as annoying as a Megalodon if it wins, but still. ARK wildcard, just reduce the amount of shark spawns. Okay, like on the center, sure, have as many shark spawns as you want, but on other maps, do away with them. The island has way too many sharks, and it really annoys me. Oh my gosh, but yeah. I like the concept art. Yeah, looks pretty cool, and being a marine creature, it has a good chance. Now, drifting away from the water, we have the Hatzegopteryx. Now, this is the only flyer. Now, the flying fish, yes, it says flying fish, but technically it would be more of a glider than a flyer. I'm assuming. But the Hatzegopteryx is the only flyer that made it into the top 10 this time, which is interesting. Now, the center, it is a map that is for flyers as well. Not as much as other maps like, say, Crystal Isles or what was it? Which one was it? I think it was Crystal Isles. Yeah, Crystal Isles. Because of all the floating islands and everything. But I can see with the number of water creatures, I don't see the Hatzegopteryx winning. Now, that's just my own opinion, because a lot of people want to see new water creatures, and I am one of those people. But to the person who submitted the Hatzegopteryx as an idea, I think Crystal Isles would be a great comeback for it. Just because Crystal Isles, you actually need flyers for certain things. You need flyers to get to some of the caves there. But yeah, the Hatzegopteryx, if it wins, it would be a good addition, because there are places in the center where a flyer is very beneficial. But you already have, your Pteranodon that you can get and stuff like that. But I think the Hatzeg could possibly win, or at least make it very close to the top. I could possibly see that. But again, that's the disadvantage. There's so many marine creatures being entered. That's just throwing it down at the bottom. So yeah. But if it does win, I think it would be cool to see something that's the size of a Quetz, maybe even a little bit bigger, and hopefully if it does win, it's faster than a Quetz. That is the one thing that irks me so much about the Quetz, is how terrible that movement speed is. Hopefully the Hatzegopteryx is better movement speed, at least Tapejara movement speed. Doesn't have to be Rhino movement speed, doesn't have to be Pteranodon movement speed. At least let it be Tapejara. But yeah, it's an interesting idea, and I think if it doesn't win the center, it could make a comeback for Crystal Isles. I do think maybe even Valguero, because Valguero, you're going to see hardly any aquatic creatures there, so who knows, Valguero could be a good comeback for it as well. But then again, Valguero, you do have wyverns, and everyone everyone wants a wyvern. And Crystal Isles, even though they have wyverns, if you're looking for something that's not a wyvern, who knows? Hatzegopteryx could make a very decent comeback. Now the Cheetah is back. The Miracinonyx. I know I totally botched that. I love the artwork so much. I absolutely love this artwork. I can see how the Managarm, or the Managarmer, or however you pronounce it, I just call it the Managarm, has influenced the artwork of this big cat, and it's really, really cool. But I don't think it's gonna make the center. I do think it has potential for other maps, especially maps like Valguero. I think Valguero would be a good chance for it. Maybe if they do Lost Island and Fjordur again, if they do submissions for that, and if they don't do that, Extinction would be a good one for this. I think Valguero or Extinction would be good ones for this, simply because it's supposed to be a need for speed kind of cat, and I honestly could see it making one of those two maps. Now here's why I don't think it would make the center. I don't think it would make the center simply because so many aquatic creatures have made it to the center. I think that's the reason it's not making the center. Just the fact that so many aquatic creatures have made it has completely outnumbered that there are only a handful of non-aquatic creatures. There's the Hatzeg, there's the Cheetah, and then there's the one right after this. And I think that would be its downfall. But I do think the map that this one should be entered in, or the two maps, should be either Extinction or, like I said, Valguero. So Extinction or Valguero. I think this one would be a good fit for those two, simply because you need to get from A to B. You can do so. Yes, Extinction, you can get Managarms. But who knows if you don't want a Managarm, because Managarms have the Hershey squirts. They are always stopping to poop. And all that madness. So I think for the people who don't want to deal with the Managarm, if this one doesn't have to constantly stop to poop, it could outcompete the Managarm on Extinction. So that's just my personal opinion. I don't see it winning the center, but I could see it very well winning Extinction, just like the Yi Chi, now the Yi Ling, won on Aberration, because it's essentially a nerfed Rock Drake, just a pre-Rock Drake. I could see this being a pre-Managarm. So yeah, I have my doubts on the center, but I do have a good feeling about Extinction for this one. And the Bajadasaurus. Yeah, I looked up how you pronounce this one. And apparently some people say Bajadasaurus, some people say Bajadasaurus. Honestly, depends on your dialect. Now this one, when I first saw it, I started getting the Amargasaurus vibes. And for those of you who know me or don't know me, the Amargasaurus, I have serious beef with Amargasaurus. I do not like Amargasaurus at all. no, I do not like Amargasaurus. I think they are too big of a pain for single player to tame. I think taming a Rhinognatha, taming a Carcharodontosaurus, I think those are so much easier than taming an Amargasaurus. Amargasaurus, no, way too much of a pain. So hopefully these are not going to be repeats of those. But from the looks of it, it says right here it's notorious for its extreme territorial behavior, even to the most peaceful of creatures. That's giving me Amargasaurus vibes, and that's what's really concerning me. And I'm like, man, if it's another Amargasaurus, I mean, I'm totally down for seeing more sauropods. We're always getting carnivores. Totally down for more sauropods. I am not down for Amargasaurus 2.0. I'm down for Amargasaurus 2.0 that has been improved so that single players can tame it just as easily as people who are playing with their friends on servers, as people who are playing on PvP. You know, it's, yeah, single player Amargasaurus taming, that is a pain in the butt, because they're just constantly aggroed on the taming pin, and the fact that you have to get the kill shot, and yeah, but if the taming is easier, if it's not as extreme as the Amargasaurus, if it's simply something like sneaking up behind it in ghillie and sticking extraordinary kibble up its butt or something like that, cool. But if you have to do the whole hunt thing and everything, not cool. But I do think it is an interesting idea, especially if it's going to be in water. But then again, the marine creatures again are taking over the center as opposed to these guys. So I can see them winning a different map, just like I said with the Cheetah. And the Hatzegopteryx, I can see them winning another map. I don't see them winning this map, and I don't see these guys winning this map. But yeah, that's just my personal opinion. Yeah, that's but this is a cool idea. If they're not as insane as the Amargasaurus, then these guys are going to be amazing. If they are not as insane, if they are not as psycho as Amargasaurus, I mean, I cannot describe my Amargasaurus encounters on Lost Island without dropping some strong language, because I cannot do Amargasaurus. I absolutely hate them. But if these guys are not as big of a pain in the butt as Amargasaurus, then cool. That is absolutely cool. And I'm totally down for seeing more herbivores. I'm down for seeing more sauropods. I just don't want them to be as difficult to tame as the Amargasaurus. I know I can't shut up about that, but that's just me. But yeah, those are my thoughts and opinions on the creatures for Ark Survival Ascended at the center. What do you think? Leave some comments down below. Is there anything I overlooked? Do you agree? Do you disagree? If you're watching this video and you submitted one of these creature ideas, feel free to leave a comment down below. Is there something I overlooked about your idea? Is there something I should have emphasized more? Just let me know down below. So yeah, hope you guys enjoyed the video. If you did, smash that like button, subscribe. I'll see you guys next time, and don't forget to vote. I will leave the link to the vote in the description of this video. Remember, it's just like all previous votes. Whatever creature you pull up to the top is your number one choice. If it's eliminated, your number two creature becomes your number one choice, so on and so forth. Yeah, so with that being said, I'll see you guys next time.